everybody, and welcome to my podcast, Fulfillment in Faith. I am your host, Shannan Mondor. Today's episode is a continuation of my series, You Are Not the Only One. I was brought forth to do this series because during my healing from my addiction to alcohol, there were so many times that the universe had brought me to silence. And during those times is when I learned so many things about myself, and I was guided. I was guided to talk openly about my past, my abuse, my addiction, and to speak my truth. From those moments of silence is when we learn, we grow, and then we teach and we help others. Today, I have a very special guest, and her name is Gagan Sighn. Welcome, Gagan. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you so much for having me, Shannan.
It is an absolute pleasure for me. So let's get right into this, Gagan. Can you tell the audience a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and then, just continue into your story of that time of stillness?
Yeah, sure. First of all, can I just say I love the name of your podcast, because I think when you said that, fulfillment and faith, it's just brought some kind of goosebumps to me, because it is so true. The faith that we need and the faith that we have in the universe, and that brings us where we are today. So a little bit about myself. I am from the UK. I'm a hypnotherapist, mindset and manifestation coach. But as you just said, that it's in the moment of stillness, we all come here, right? And what brings us here then? So a little bit about myself. We all have a story, and my story is that I had these really sad beliefs about myself, which were not true, but these were the stories I had told myself since I was 0 years of age. I was born in an Indian family, a beautiful Indian family, where I was the third daughter. And although my parents loved me, but a child always feeds on these feelings. And I had the feeling that I was not wanted. I had the feeling that, no one wants me here, because that's what I picked up upon. And while I was growing up, I was only 2 years of age when I started facing abuse in my life. And that was not from my family members. They loved me immensely, but it was from one of the servants in the house. And that kind of made me feel that I didn't have a voice at all. So I raised myself up, and with all the love that I had from my family members and my friends. But I still had this kind of feeling within me that I was not wanted. I had this, knowing kind of thing that there is more to life, but I still did not know how to express myself. I really felt I did not have a voice I could speak or protect myself. So I kept going through life like that. And but there was something within me that kept saying, there's more, there's more. But as I said, my beliefs really kept me down. And those beliefs were, I was not wanted. I'm no good. I'm not good enough to be here. This world is not a safe place. And when I was raising with these beliefs, guess what was happening? Everything I was attracting was not nice. Any people I was attracting were not nice. Things which I wanted, really desired, I was pushing them away. So unconditional love, I was pushing those relationships away. I was really pushing anything which was good, because I didn't see myself worthy of anything good happening to me. And because I didn't feel that I was worthy of the good, I kept pushing whatever came my way. And then I lost my mother when I was 10 years ago. So I was in my 30s when I lost my mother. And in those moments, I really realized that life is more. There's more to life. I know I've been seeing myself as a victim all my life. And that's what it was. I really saw myself as a victim of abuse. I saw myself as a victim of really, I don't even want to say that word, but I really saw myself as SHIT. I really thought that I am that piece of that no one wants. And if anyone wants, is they only want sex from me.
Right.
They only want my physical body from me. There was no pure love, right? And when the pure love came, I kept pushing it away, because I didn't see myself worthy of it. I didn't see myself having that, because all of my life I had such mixed messages of relationships, because I was abused by males, I was abused by female. So I had no concept of what a relationship is, because anytime a relationship, that would be from my body, right? So I really felt that. And then came a point in my life when from within, when my mom passed away, and I was really suffering from fibromyalgia at that point. And I suffered because I think my body was trying to show me that I need to vent out. Because you know what, Shannan, I did not share my feelings with anyone. I think this is the first time I'm speaking about it so openly. I had never done that before. My family still doesn't know the abuse I had gone through. My friends never knew the abuse I went through. I kept it all in. And the reason I kept it all in, because when I was little, I didn't know that, oh, this is not my fault. I'm only 2 years old. But I was made believe that this is who I am. This is that I'm attracting this in my life. This is who I am. And I didn't know anything else. And I think that's what happens with majority of the children when they're going through abuse. They accept it as their reality. They do not know that there is something different than this. They think that this happens with everyone. And probably I was one of those kids. I just felt
I can say I was I was one of those children.
Yeah.
Because I didn't because we don't know any different.
We do not know any.
We don't.
We think it's the same with everyone, and you just kind of accept it and you start living with it.
Yes.
And what you're doing in that process is you're not giving yourself the love. Instead, what you're doing is you're just bottling up these feelings. You're just bottling up everything. But we forget that the bottle is going to explode one day. And in my case, it came up as fibromyalgia. It came up as chronic fatigue because my body wanted attention. I wanted attention, right? As a child, although I was dealing with everything on my own, but I was actually in 30s when I was going through fibromyalgia. So imagine my whole life, I was bottling things up. Right? Even when I was growing up, I also remember asking myself these questions, like that when I was a child, I couldn't protect myself, but why can't I protect myself today? But I didn't realize that I don't think I have a voice anymore. I didn't feel that I would be supported. And that's why probably I never went to my family. I always thought that anyway, I had this belief about myself that I was not wanted here. So I'll be shunned. I'll be kind of really outcasted. So I did not have that faith, right? That I'll be protected or I'll be kind of loved after that. So we keep these things inside us. And then, as I said, this came in my life, it exploded as a form of fibromyalgia. And when I had fibromyalgia, I can't tell you, Shannan, there were days I couldn't get out of my bed. There were days I could not climb up the stairs. I had to walk on every step to get to my bed. I had little children and they were looking after me. And the guilt, I think that's another thing that we kind of don't, even agree to, that we are going through the guilt. So I had this immense guilt that my kids are doing for me. I should be the one doing for them, or the guilt to protect myself, or the guilt of, there were so many guilts I was going through at the same time, not sharing it with anyone in my family, not sharing it with my husband, what I've gone through. And that's the Indian mentality, I would say, whether you'll be accepted. So I guess that was my reason of not sharing whether I'll be accepted or not, right? I couldn't speak my truth, that will I be accepted ever?
Yeah.
My husband till date, he's a loving husband, but I don't think I have. Now probably I can go back and tell him, because I'm in that place where I found peace within myself. I'm in a place where I do not care about any judgment from anyone. It's my life, and this is what's happened. And if you don't accept me for who I am, for what I've gone through, then there's no relationship. So I'm at that place today.
You are finally at that stage of you love yourself over everything else in this world.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I wasn't for 40 plus years, right? For 40 odd years.
Been there. Yeah.
I stayed in that cage, I would call, right? The cage that I'd created for myself. I'm sure my parents would have accepted. I'm sure my parents would have gone and actually spoken to those people who did what they did to me, right? But I did not give them the chance. Why? Because I needed validation. I needed that. Although that, what I was getting was, I wanted the acceptance for even whether I was fake in living, I was not accepting myself. And in all of this, when fibromyalgia came up and my mom's passing, it really brought me to that stillness you were talking about. What is my life for? Am I just here for this? Or is there more to life? And again, another guilt
And
came.
it's almost like, see, because my moment was like, why is this happening to me? It was like, what is going on? I just got to that point. What the hell is going on? And then that's when you're like, wow, like this is stopping. I don't know how. I have no idea how, but you know what? This really cannot continue on anymore, whatever this is. So help me for gosh sakes. Right. And that would have been the same thing with you. It's like, wow.
Yeah, I think I was worse than you, Shannan, to be very honest. I just saw myself as a victim. I
Yeah.
really did. And I did not even question like why or what. I was like, okay, I accepted that as my destiny, you see.
Yeah.
I didn't even question. I was like, this is who I'm meant to be. I'm meant to suffer. So I accepted that reality. That was not a reality, but that was the story, right? But I accepted that story as the reality of my life until my mom passed away. And that's when I was like, no, because my mom left a legacy behind. Everyone loved her for the charity work she did and for everything. She was a wonderful person. And I think I really picked up on a lot of kind of faith from her. So faith in God, faith in, not in myself at that point, but in God, right? And again, it was more of a God that we see on the outside, not on the inside. Now the knowledge is different, right? But again, all of this, but the questioning then started for me, Shannan. Why? Am I just here for this? No, I refuse.
Mm-hmm.
I want more from life. I'm not going to die with this on my deathbed. I want to help other women because I know for a fact, Shannan, there's so many women out there who are actually living this life what I had lived before.
Mm-hmm.
They keep silent, they keep their mouths shut, they keep everything inside because they do not have the courage. They do not think that anyone is going to accept them.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that's coming not from a place of faith, it's coming from a place of fear. It's coming from a place of doubting yourself, from a place of not loving yourself. And when I really understood, I was like, no, this has to stop. I've got kids, right? I can't pretend to tell them, oh, you know what, feel your feelings, and I'm not feeling them myself. I can't tell them to walk another path and walking another path. I just couldn't do that. So the day came and I realized that no, this has to stop. For me, it was probably later than you, Shannan, but eventually it came. But I always had this knowing that there was more from life. I had this knowing somewhere which was silent. And it was silent because of, I was making it silent because I didn't believe in it myself. I didn't believe that there was a life, that my life could be better. And I think now that when I understand how the subconscious works, I remember as a child, Shannan, very crystal clear, that I accepted this as my reality. And once you've accepted in the subconscious, that's it, right? It doesn't go anywhere. It will become your reality because your subconscious linked to the superconscious of the universe. And it became my reality. I became a victim of my own stories. I became a victim of my circumstances. But today, where I stand, I know there are no circumstances, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that also kept bothering me again and again, that I was only 2 years old. I didn't invite that. And I know I did not, right? But then I also understood, Gagan, there's a bigger purpose for your soul here. So my soul had to go through, which I look back now and I'm grateful for what the experiences I've had. They're not the circumstances, but the experiences, because I can help so many women out there. I understand them.
See, I know exactly what you're saying when, you say that. And a lot of people will say to me, like, you don't have any regrets from your past. It's like, no, I don't. I don't at all, because I would have never gotten to the place where I am now of helping so many other people. And that was all a part of my journey. So the biggest person that I needed to forgive was myself and love myself. And from there is where we learn and we grow. So there's no regrets. I would have never been to this state of loving myself, just like where you are, Gagan. There's no, that was the biggest gift, really.
Yeah, I would say that was the learning, right? My soul had to go through it to experience that. So today, as a hypnotherapist and as a coach, right, I help so many women. I help so many women going through addictions. I help so many women going through traumas of life. And they're just not big. So trauma is a trauma, whether it's big or small. We are the ones who are giving it label. It's the impact that's making. It's not the scene. It's the emotions you've attached to it.
Yeah.
Right. So even small traumas, they could be very impactful. They could leave a very deep scar on you.
Yes.
Right. So for me, and again, I'm sure there are many people who go through abuse and they don't think much of it, because why? They've not attached their feelings to it. It's again law of relativity, right? If you compare it to like being killed, you'll be like, at least I'm grateful I'm alive. Like, so it's only, I've just gone through a little bit of abuse. I'm still alive. Right? But if you compare yourself to someone who's never gone through abuse, you'll be like, oh my gosh, I've gone through so much. But once you understand the deeper meaning of your life, the purpose, that's when you're like, okay, it's fine. Because I know now I was being guided then as well. I was being supported then as well by the universe. I was not alone. We think we are alone. We never are, though, are we, Shannan?
Right. No, never. Never.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in those moments, so going back to after my mom's passing, for years, I really had this kind of, what am I doing, right? For a couple of years, I really had a lot of questioning to go through, a lot of inner work that, why am I here? What is my purpose? And what am I going to do of my life here? I clearly knew I wanted to make an impact now. I clearly knew I wanted to leave a legacy. So that was very clear, but I did not know what path. And very strange, Shannan, you won't imagine, for many years of my life, I'd blocked what had happened with me, right? But my subconscious still knew. But on a conscious level, and this is what we do to protect, to go in the survival mode, the mind will do whatever it takes. So my mind, what it did was, it blocked my past.
See,
it really blocked my
I
past.
can relate to you on that. Oh my gosh, because I started having flashbacks of my past. And that's what got me to the worst when I became very suicidal. My depression was so chronic, I couldn't even get out of bed. And if I did get out of bed, it was literally just to go drink more wine so I could pass out. So I did not have these flashbacks anymore. And what the most troubling thing was about those flashbacks was I didn't know if they were true or not. They were so real, but yet I was not believing any of them. And that was flashbacks, yeah, that was just devastating to me.
And you know what you just said, like you would only get up to get wine. It's because you were numb. That's what you were doing. You were numbing your feelings.
I was totally
you were getting flashbacks, right?
Oh.
You were not sure whether they were real or not. Your subconscious was bringing them back, because you can only hide as much, you cannot run away from your past. One day you have to face it. And that's exactly what happened. So even when I was growing up, I would have a little bit, but I had blocked majority of it. But it's when I went into the hypnotherapy and, this hypnotherapy sessions and everything, like it became very clear what had happened. So even I was telling myself a lot of more stories, but maybe it wasn't. But as you said, so you went into addiction, right? I had anxiety.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, right. So again, what is your body doing to make sure that you are still surviving? Because your mind will make sure that you survive. That's the only job the mind has to do, is to make sure that you survive on this planet. That's the number one job that mind has. For you, it brought addictions to you, right? Because you were, again, I've listened to your story. And again, it's because that's what you were used to seeing. So you saw, this is my breakthrough. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to numb my feelings. You tried it once, it worked for you. You went back. And that's what any addiction does for you. I get so many clients. The only thing the addiction is doing for them is keeping the feelings numb, because it's taking them from a place of pain to place of pleasure. You're leaving your pain behind. You're drinking or, whatever addiction, that even shopping. It's not even that addiction is only it could be shopping. It could be in any form. It could be exercise. But what it's doing for you is it's taking you away from the pain and bringing some pleasure to you in some form. So for me, it was anxiety. For me, in my life, the role of anxiety kicked in. So what it was, I was hospitalized on few occasions because my anxiety would be above the roof. It would be like, because I was like, oh my gosh, what's happened? And everything, I just could not comprehend what was happening. I was so scared of my past. I was so scared of my future. And I didn't know how to live in the present. So I was like, I was in this fight and flight mode and anxiety all the time. I remember being reeled out, from my workplace to the hospital because I was literally in a very anxious thing. They thought they were good. My school, actually, I used to be a teacher before. I'm still a teacher, but I used to work in a school. And they thought I was going to pass out, like literally die, because the anxiety was so, I couldn't breathe. I couldn't do anything. My pulse was dropping. And again, the paramedics came, they rushed me to the hospital. It was a panic attack, a major panic attack. And no one knew what was happening. I didn't know why was I getting these panic attacks. But again, my mind was trying to say, okay, I'm in survival. See, our body is always trying to talk to us.
Oh,
right?
absolutely they are. Yes, yes.
Are we listening to it? My body was trying to come in form of anxiety, again, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, trying to tell, I need attention. You need to solve this. You need to face your fears actually from the past.
Yes.
And get past it, because universe had a big plan for me. But unless I had, and for you as well, Shannan, unless you had break through those terror barriers of, the walls that you had created of addiction, of everything from the past, and for myself, we couldn't be free. And we had to be free.
Yes,
to help
absolutely.
These people today.
And we had to be free, and we have to be free so we can see those in others. And that's why people will be like, how do you know that? And it's because I've experienced it. I know what you're going through because I have felt those feelings. So let me guide you and let me help walk you through. Let me bring those feelings to the surface, because that's the only way that you're going to be able to grow and become that individual that you are meant to be.
And you're right. After that only, Shannan, and I think for you and for myself as well, and for anyone, I think it's after you really face your fears and you go past that wall. Once you're free, that's when the energy that's working to and through you're tapping into the intuition. You're really being guided. Although you were being guided throughout, absolutely, now you're guided on a very bigger purpose of life.
Yeah, and I got the chills because that is so true, right? Like you feel,
I'm getting it as well.
Yeah, you feel it within in your body. Yeah.
And that's the truth. So my clients, whenever they go through this, and I said, do you did it resonate with you? And they're like, yeah, we're getting this. I said, yes, because that's the truth. You only get this because your soul knows that this is the truth of life, that this is so divine. And once you feel these experiences, you want more and more of it.
Yes, you crave, yes.
Right?
Those words, so much truth.
Yeah, because Shannan, that's the truth, right? And once you experience it, it's like addiction then, right?
Yes.
It's like, I want more of this.
It's an addiction on a different scale, totally and completely.
And it's because you are like, oh yeah, this is who I want to be now. This is what you're thriving now. So instead of surviving, you're into a thriving mode now. You're thriving on this. So you're not surviving on this addiction, but you're thriving on this addiction.
Right.
Right. And that's what I feel now. So look at you, the podcast you're doing, the amount of people you're gathering, how, you're inspired every day. You're lit for this every day.
Oh, I live for this on a daily basis. Yeah. Absolutely.
So that's what we do. I breathe this material. I'm like, oh my gosh, I couldn't be doing anything else. I could be talking about it all night long.
And just the connection you have with other people that are on the same level, just knowing that we're all making that commitment to ourselves, but also to the universe, that our purpose here is to help others, and we will do anything to help others just by our experiences. The power alone, saying that out loud, but also feeling it and resonating with that, is just like, just talking about it brings me to tears.
Yeah, I completely agree with you.
So deeply.
And I really feel this is God's work.
Oh, 100%.
Right?
100%.
And there's so much to be done. There's so much. I really, like when I'm walking on the road and I see people and I'm like, you want to go and help, because when you see someone in crisis, you really want to go and help them, because you've got you've got something to give to them.
Yeah.
You've got a solution for them. because the solution is actually going within. The
And
solution is actually,
and
yeah.
that's the hardest part, is you've got the solution for them, and it's whether or not they want it, whether or not they are
Need
willing
it.
to allow
The
and
difference
receive
is whether they want it or not,
Yes,
right?
and that's where it's the struggle for me, which would be the same struggle for you. And you're like, oh, if they could just see what we see.
Yeah, and you're right, Shannan. And I think that again comes from, and I can understand that as well, because it comes from you're so used to of that life. So when I was really pushing the love or the relationships that were coming my way, because I was so familiar, that's another thing of the mind, right? It will, whatever is familiar, it will keep you, because it thinks it's your comfort zone. It's your safe here. Although you are not, you want to go out and grow, but your mind is keeping you in there. Right? That's another job of the mind. So it's keeping you in that familiar spot because it's familiar. So for me, what was familiar? For me, that comfort zone where I felt I was not good enough. And I believed that, oh, this world is not a nice place, or I'm a victim. All of those beliefs, whether they were untrue, but they were my comfort zone. And it was by law of attraction, I was only inviting all of that again and again, but it was still my comfort zone because that was familiar to me. And that's what happens with a lot of people in relationships. They will keep attracting the same type of people again and again because it's so familiar to them. So it is so important to understand your mind, I think, in that. And like when we're talking about people do not know, because they're so used to that familiar thing. Like, I'll get clients where their spouse or partners are not treating them well, but they're so used to that they do not see a way, that there's a way out. But there is a way out. It's like that story in U Square, right? Where the fly is going, bzzz, right? There's a door open, can't see the door, but it will die right there on that window.
Yeah.
Why? Because it's so stuck. I want to see there. And that's where you were saying, Shannan, that when you take a step back and when you're like, oof, I'm free now, you can see that actually there are multiple doors.
Yeah.
But when you're in a problem, right, you're so stuck there, you can't see a way out.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's repeated several times within my life.
And mine, and I'm sure in everyone's life, you're like, yeah, I want a way out, but you can't just because you're so engrossed in your problem.
Well, I'm
So
sick of
take
being that damn fly.
Yes, see, exactly. And Bob Proctor used to always say, write your problem down, right? Don't be part of it. Take it out of your system, write it down, and then step back and let the universe work through it.
Yeah.
And another thing I want to say, many people ask me this question, Shannan, and I'm sure many people ask you this as well. What changed, right? What changed it? It's that decision.
Yeah.
That I do not want to be that person anymore.
When you live in contrast for that long, you get tired of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's where you got to be like, this is not good. Like,
Shannan, I was so tired. I can't tell you. So when I was going through fibromyalgia, we've got NHS here, the National Health Services. They really tried their best to kind of give me the support and healing that I needed. They sent me to therapists. They sent me for pain clinics. They sent me everywhere, right? And nothing was like, I wouldn't say nothing, but it wasn't healing me really because it was on a very surface level. But in that process, I did meet a therapist who was very spiritually aligned, right? Although she was doing a lot of surface work, but she really asked me one question. And she was like, because I was telling her that how I helped my son heal from eczema and have all the skin conditions, and how when I was not even aware of this material, that is going back years and years now, and how I healed him. So I told her the story, and she's like, wow, that's really impressive. And she asked me, why can't you do that for yourself? But guess the answer was, I didn't love myself that much.
right.
Right? I loved my child, and I would do anything what it took to get him that freedom of eczema and everything. And he did. And the doctors were surprised, but I didn't love myself that much. But then COVID happened. And then I got the time, right? And I was like, oh. And then I started healing myself. So it was started from a decision, though, that I do not want to live with fibromyalgia anymore. I do not want to live with chronic fatigue. I've had enough.
So go through the process. Tell me the
Sorry?
process. Tell me the process of how you healed yourself.
Okay. So as I said, for after 8 years, I was like, I couldn't sit like this. I really could not.
Mhm.
After 10 minutes, I had to go and lie down because my body just wouldn't take it. And I was like, I've had enough. Every day I would feel, but again, it was just kind of building up, building up. And when this happened during COVID, and I did not have any support from NHS, like everything was taken away because it was a lockdown, right? There was no therapist, there was no pain clinic, there was no medication, nothing for me. And I was like, okay. So one day I'm sitting there and I was walking actually. I was walking back. I just went for a walk and I picked up some stuff from Tesco's and I had two bags in my hand. And I was walking from the woods. It's only a 10-minute walk. And I literally, in a moment, I froze. My bags dropped down and I could not feel my legs.
Wow.
I really did. And I was like, oh my gosh. And the tears started rolling. But in that moment, I had that epiphany of life. And it was like, Gagan, you can either choose to stay with this identity of being a sick all the time, or you can choose gratitude and be grateful that you still have legs, right? You still have senses that you can feel the pain. There's so many people in the world who cannot feel the pain as well. So which way are you going to choose? And in that moment, I decided, literally like this, that you know what? I'm actually grateful. And that decision that I'm grateful, doesn't matter I'm in pain, I'm still grateful that I'm standing here. Although I was in pain, I could not move, Shannan. I'm not joking. The bags were on the ground. I couldn't move. And once I made that decision and I really pulled myself, I said, you know what? My house is literally maybe 50 steps and I'm going to walk these 50 steps, but I am not this person anymore. And in that moment, it was literally, I know I'm saying it, but it's figuratively, but it's like literally, I felt that weight down from my shoulders. Because I was, I had this image about being sick, about being a victim, about all of that. And that was on my shoulders. I was carrying that for 40 years of my life. It was heavy. And the minute I decided that, no, I really reject this anymore. I don't want this more in my life. I felt really that freedom, that light, that, oh, yes. And then, Shannan, you won't imagine what happened. I came back home and one of my friends had told me about the Dr. Joe Dispenza, how he healed himself, right? And I said, it came to my mind. Or out of a bloom, I was like, okay, let me just Google him. I ordered his book online only, and I started reading his book. And I had not even finished the book. Still haven't finished that book, but only his story, how he healed himself, was enough for me. And I was like, I am going to heal myself.
That's all you needed from that book. And that's why you have not.
That's what I needed. I decided, I think I only read the first chapter. I'm not going to joke, right? But his story, because after that first chapter, I was like, wow, it makes sense. And I just Googled his story. And that's what I needed. And then I was like, that's it. And then I said, you know what, universe, I'm ready. I'm ready to step out of this and I'm going to heal myself. And I think I just kind of brought that into existence by speaking it. That this is not who I am anymore. And I think that's when I let go of it. The fear, the pain, anything, I just let go of that. And then what happened? I was on YouTube, I don't know what doing, and I came across Marissa Peer. Before that, I had no idea who Marissa Peer was. She's a very famous hypnotherapist, by the way, in UK. And she runs a school called Rapid Transformational Therapy. And when I started listening to her YouTube videos, I was like, wow. I said, you know what? One day I'm going to have a session from her of hypnotherapy. And I did. Free. She charges people $10,000. I'm not joking, for 1 hour session. Wow. Right? I had it for free. And kind of they asked me to have a session because they could see I was literally so I started listening about her. I started reading about her, listening to it, started applying what she was teaching. And then I just booked a call with one of the people out there that I want to train as a hypnotherapist. Something within me just said that train. I didn't have the money. I'll be very honest. I did not have the money. And I was like, you know what? I don't care. The money will come. And I just trained with her. And during that process, then she did a session on me when I did a live therapy. And I was a complete different person in after 2 hours, and people were shocked because I had kind of, it was more like, it had really given me that, she gave me what I needed in that moment. And then obviously, then I went and trained with Bob Proctor and really took it very deep, like understood the mind on a very, very deep level. And it became a hypnotherapist and coach to help people. But yeah, it started from one decision of my life that I do not want to be this person anymore.
Yeah, that's life-changing. So you've learned so many things on your journey, but what is the number one thing that you learned the most that you want to share with everybody? It might be a little bit hard to pinpoint one.
I was going to say, it's hard to pinpoint
It's
one.
hard to pinpoint one. But if you want to give anybody advice, what is the one thing?
Okay, so I'm going to say it might be a little bit longer because I'm going to try and incorporate all of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
It starts with self-love.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely self-love is the bottom.
That's
And
what
it's the foundation, right? And I would say when you start giving yourself that self-love, what will happen is you will open to receive. You will open yourself up to kind of heal as well. Because until you have that, nothing is going to change in your life. But during this process of self-love, what will happen is you will recognize who you truly are.
Mm-hmm.
So self-love is on the surface, like, when you start there, but slowly and slowly, the real self-love is understanding who you truly are and the magic that is within you. And once you start understanding the power is all within you, that you have been gifted with everything, whether it's to heal yourself, whether it's the money that you want, the relationships, no matter what you want in life, everything is within you.
And people don't understand that once you start to feel that love for yourself, you are guided spiritually for your next step, So you are never, ever alone. You may be alone in the sense of your environment around you, and you're brought to stillness because of that. But the reason that you are brought, and you know just as well as I do, Gagan, the reason that you are brought to that stillness is so that the universe can guide you.
Yeah.
Because the connection is now between you and the universe. And there has to be that silence. So you pay attention. So you are not alone.
You're never alone, Shannan. We might feel because we can't see that physical connection, right? But the spiritual connection is never alone.
Never, ever.
We are being guided at every step, but do you believe in that? That's the thing. Mm-hmm. You need to believe that you're being guided. And going back to our surroundings, everyone has a purpose in your life. If you are married or if you have a partner, they have a purpose in your life. Mm-hmm. And sometimes when marriages don't are very fruitful, it's because the purpose has finished, right? And you need to understand and let go of that as well. And it's same with every other relationships. You won't have the same friends throughout your life because they have not served, like they've served their purpose and you have to move on. Mm-hmm. It's really like that when we are on a train, right? People get off at the stations because their journey is finished there, or your journey is supposed to carry on. So everyone will have they have a purpose in your life. And that's, again, it's being guided. You're being guided by the universe. So everyone's being planted in that way in your life, and everyone will then do their part and move on, and you will move on from them as well. And what I have experienced in my life, sometimes when you are holding on too much, then the universe will actually come in and actually tell you no. Yeah. Right. And the universe will do its own magic to help you get out of that situation from those people because they're not serving you. Exactly. And the best part is to let go. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But going back to, just one thing I want to say, Shannan, there about self-love. Self-love is truly accepting yourself for who you are with all that's going on in your life. You do not have to be in a place that, after I am flawless, that's when I'm going to accept, because you are only flawed in your own eyes. You need to start seeing yourself from divine's eyes, because you are as beautiful as you were when you were a baby. Without any, right? When a baby is born, baby doesn't have any baggage. Baby doesn't have anything. It's pure. It's literally pure, unconditional love. And you know what? this is what I have experienced, and this was my learning, because I always seeked out for unconditional love because of the traumas. So one day I asked myself, this is what I always want from my husband, from my kids, from everyone. Am I giving this to myself? And guess what? I was not, because I was judging myself. So self-love for me is unconditional love, where there's no judgment, where you do not seek validation from anyone, where you do not need anyone's approval. You see your flaws, you observe them, you accept yourself, and you improve yourself. So you're not kind of criticizing yourself. That inner self-dialogue is of inner cheerleader. It's not of inner critic that was always criticizing you. And that's the place of self-love. And always, we are always growing. So you can never say, I'll be there and that's when I'll be. No, it's an evolution. You'll always be expanding. You'll always be growing. And your self-love for yourself will be growing as well.
Mm-hmm. Is this the advice that you would want to share with others, that you would want to express the most for others to learn? Is that what you would say to others? This is what I want the most for you to learn?
Yes, but with this comes, when you are in that place of self-love, I would say, first of all, recognizing what self-love is, because people do not. Shannan, people come, they live and they go, and they're so kind of engrossed in the world, they do not even know what the meaning of self-love is, or what is, because they don't have a purpose. They're just they're just living a monotonous life. Right?
This is, okay, so I do mirror work. You've done mirror work. And this is a test, very simple test that you can actually do on your own to see if you really do have self-love. Look at yourself in the mirror, look deep into your eyes and say to yourself, I love you. And keep your eyes focused on the eyes that you see in the mirror. If you can do it, and if you can not look away, and really feel, I got chills now, and feel that love that you have towards yourself, you have self-love. If you can't, sure sign right there that you don't. That is the quickest little example that I can give to you. So any of you listeners right now, if you go to the mirror right now and you do that, I would like to know whether or not you have self-love, because you will know instantly. Is that not correct?
I couldn't do it. Yeah. I couldn't do it.
I couldn't do it for the longest time. I felt so strange. I felt like I was totally lying. You know, now I look in the mirror.
I kiss myself.
Yeah,
oh my God. I
love you. You know,
I love myself the most, I would say now. But Shannan, you're right. I couldn't. I had to start from a very simple step, that I'm willing to love you. So I could not even say I love you, because that was too much for me, because for 40 years I had seen myself as a victim of life. I'd seen myself as someone who's not good enough. I couldn't say that to myself. So I really had to, and that's why I think probably for me, self-love is so important, because when we go through life, and when we go through especially hardships, we see their hardships of life, we do not give ourselves love. We kind of start blaming ourselves. We kind of start taking everything on ourselves. And that's why that's my biggest message, is self-love. Because when you're at a place, peace with yourself, that's when you're open to receive. I really believe that, then you're saying yes, because you're expressing yourself fully.
Yes,
you're not,
I'm worth it. I value myself. I deserve this. I love myself.
I'm worthy of this. I couldn't see myself worthy of success or money. I couldn't see myself deserving of it. Why? Because in my mind, I was someone who didn't deserve happiness. In my mind, I was someone who did not deserve, having good stuff in life. Why? Because I felt guilty of not being a good daughter. So that's why self-love is so important, Shannan, for me, and I think for everyone on this planet, because if you really understand who we truly are, our job is to actually understand who we are, what we are meant for, and live a life from that, not kind of just come and waste our life. And we all have our roles to play. We're living our roles, right? Shannan, you all have a role as a mother, as a wife, as a daughter. We all have. But in the end, what is your role for yourself? What's your role for, why we here for? Because otherwise you'll always be into this role. And again, that links to your identity as well. Are you a mother? Are you looking at yourself as an identity from a mother perspective, from a wife's perspective, or do you actually have an identity of yourself?
That's a question that so many people need to start asking themselves. Why am I here?
Yeah.
Why am I here? You just don't come to earth and just live, which we talked about earlier. That's what so many people are just doing. They're just living. They're not happy. They're
That's
just
living.
And literally. And why am I here? Because you are here for a purpose, and you're not gonna find that purpose until you start answering, asking the question and then going within.
Yeah.
Interesting. Very interesting. So where are you now, Gagan?
I'm in London.
I know you.
I'm in my office here. I'm in my hypnotherapy room. So that's where I am.
But I love that. But where are you in life?
Oh, where am I in my life? Okay, right now. Okay, I'm in the UK. Okay. Where am I in my life? I actually in my present. That's how I'm going to answer this question.
I love that.
I'm not in my past anymore. I'm not in my future. I've got lots of desires in life, but I live my life every day in the now. That's how I'm going to answer this question.
I love that.
So where I am, I'm in my life, in the present, creating the life that I desire fully, and helping people become the best version of themselves. I won't say best version, but the best selves, because we all, and just helping them get rid of the baggage that they've been holding on, because I know the pain of holding that baggage for 40 years. It's more like a death sentence. It's more than a death sentence, right? It's only 14 years for a death sentence, if you really see. So I've actually multiplied that as well. And I lived with that. And today, when I see people that they're living with this baggage, whether that baggage is of trauma, whether that baggage is of not believing in themselves, not seeing themselves worthy of what has happened, my biggest aim in life is to actually free them from that, helping them heal from their past and stepping into the best selves so they can experience what I'm experiencing. So they can experience life as it is in the now. Because it's all in the now.
It really is, isn't it?
So that's where I
am. Now is what creates our future.
Yeah.
What are your final last words that you would like to say to the audience?
That believe in yourself. You are worthy and deserving of so much good in life. You have everything within you. The only thing you have to do is go within. Although that may seem hard, you don't have to do it all alone. No one is asking you to do it all alone, right? We are here for you. Choose the person who resonates with you. Choose the person, a mentor in your life who can guide you through. And once you have that mentor, your life is sorted, right? So find within. That's literally, that's going to be my urge, actually. I really request you all to take a little bit, go within and ask yourself, what is it? What's one thing that I need to change today? What's one thing that I can change today? And start changing that one thing today. Start seeing yourself for who you truly are. Look in the mirror, as Shannan said. Can you say to yourself, I love you? And if you can't, that's okay.
That is
at least you know that that's where you need to work on. Right? So love yourself. And just,
This interview was so powerful, Gagan. Oh my gosh. So eye-opening on so many different levels. And I just want to thank you so much for being a part of my journey. This was just amazing.
Thank you for having me. I've absolutely loved it.
Oh gosh.
I'm this is my first podcast with you. And I'm so glad to embarking on this journey with you, Shannan.
Tell
So
me
thank you
about
so
it.
much
Like,
for having me.
this was amazing. My gosh. So thank you. Oh, yes, my heart is definitely full. It's full. So this was an excellent interview. So uh in closing, I'm just smiling from ear to ear because, like I said, with this podcast, the connection that I'm having with all these interviewers as my guests, there's so many different friendships that are coming from it, and it's amazing to be on this journey with so many amazing people that have so much to say, so much to teach people. And it's times like these that I just want to say to my viewers out there that if you like this podcast, please subscribe and tell your friends, tell as many people as you can to listen to this podcast, because you're going to learn something from it. And I ask people to please go to my website. It's shannanmondor.com and check it out. My book's on there. This podcast, of course, is on there. There's information on my one-on-one coaching and my Fulfillment in Faith program, which is a 6-month personal development program where I will work with you. And there's a community that's forming, which is amazing. And yeah, my program is life-changing. So I want to thank all my listeners out there, and another very special thank you for Gagan. So thank you so much for everything.